All right, guys, we're back. Kevin Davidson, Kevin's Korner, real estate from a marketing perspective. And this handsome gentleman I got here sitting next to me is Mr. Jim Greene from Greene Technologies. Introduce yourself, Jim.
I'm Jim Greene with Greene Technologies.
And what do you do? That's what I meant.
I am the stinky house guy. Cigarettes, cigars, cats, curries, cadavers, doesn't matter what the house smells like, we can fix it.
What's a curry?
A spice generally used by the Indian folk and Asian, Southern Asian cooking.
Okay.
Yes,
So you
things
can
like
get
that.
that out,
Yes,
huh?
we can. Yes.
Wow. So how long have you been doing this?
We've actually been doing this. Coming up, September is going to be nearly 20 years for us.
Wow.
So I
Congratulations.
personally have been doing this for 7 years, but the company as a whole has been going for, in September will be 20 years in the Houston area of deodorizing houses.
So what do you operate all over Texas? Just Houston? What do you?
We are now pretty much a Texas-wide entity. We used to say we covered all of Southeast Texas, but we're kind of now a Texas-wide entity, thanks to many realtors who like to branch out into other cities.
Do you if you have to leave the city of Houston, do you put a premium on that trip?
Of course we do.
Of course
Absolutely.
we do. Yeah. Gas is not cheap.
Gas is not cheap, so but we're always worth every penny of what you spend. So
So you're the guy that goes into houses when someone maybe has passed away and they got all kinds of stuff that's been there for 30 years, or they have been in the same house for 30 years and they smoked every day for.
yes.
I mean, you can clean all that up.
We can clean up anything. We like to say if you open up the front door and you've got to turn around because it smells so bad, then you give us a call and we'll take care of it. But we do specialize in hoarder houses, and for some reason we do get more unattended death calls than probably anybody else.
Really?
Yeah.
So what is that like? I mean, knowing you're going to a house where there's a dead person in it, but I mean, when the first time you had to do that, how'd that affect you?
I stunk for days afterwards.
Oh
It really, I know it can affect some people, but I stay prayed up, so that doesn't bother me. So that stuff doesn't bother me at all.
So witnessing or seeing dead bodies didn't bother you?
Well, when we get on scene, the body's always gone.
Oh, okay.
So now
It's just the smell that's left
there's
behind.
well, and in some cases, we like to say the job that really got me into the crime scene side of things and cleaning up nasty things. We always like to say that the coroner actually left us more than he took, because we had quite a mess to clean up.
So do you get calls from the local police departments and stuff?
We don't, no.
So how do you who calls you about a dead person?
In Texas, it's incumbent upon the property owner to take care of whatever problem is on their property.
Oh, okay.
So the state will only come in if it's a hazard to the neighbors or something like that. But in 99% of the cases, it's up to the property owner to get their property taken care of.
Oh, okay.
And since nobody's going to buy that property unless it gets cleaned up, then they bring us in.
Yeah, and then the realtor's got to disclose it on the agreement and stuff like that. So right.
So it only has to be disclosed if it's a murder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Texas, it only has to be disclosed if it's a murder. If just because somebody dies in the house, that does not have to be disclosed.
Shiva's over there in the corner shaking her head, so I guess he's right.
So, well, I mean, you think about a city as big and as old as we are, with the exception of maybe every house built within the last 10 years, probably somebody has died in every house in Houston.
That's a positive way to look at it.
So
Let's go house hunting.
So if you had to disclose that on every house, then probably nobody would be able to sell a house.
So can you give the audience an idea of what the worst thing you've ever seen in going to clean a house?
The worst thing I've ever seen was the job that got us into the crime scene cleanup portion of this. It was and since you asked, I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the neighbor kindly filled me in on everything that had happened because the nephew who had called me only gave me the minor details. But basically, it was the end of June. Guy had passed away, and he was a hermit. He didn't have any family, never married, never had any kids, and didn't really talk to the neighbors. And it was only after his nephew not being able to get a hold of him for 3 weeks that, he was a police officer in Michigan, and so he called the Harris County Sheriff's Department to do a welfare check. And the neighbor told me that when he kicked in the door, he immediately passed out because he was overcome with hydrogen sulfide poisoning. Because the body had been in the house for 3 weeks in the summer with no electricity, because when you're dead, you don't pay the bills.
Right.
So, so his body just cooked in there.
Oh my gosh.
And on top of that, once the coroner came in, this is. I know this sounds funky, but it's what the term is, a bloater, and they cannot transport a bloater. They have to decompress the body.
This has turned into a
before
podcast.
they
I didn't know what direction we were going.
Yeah, well, because it'll explode in the van. The vibrations of the road will cause it to explode. The gas is so they, and I hate for the I would hate to have been the guy that discovered that.
Yeah.
But this is why I say we're pretty certain the coroner left us more than he took, because it was about a 10-foot wide pool that we had to clean up in this house in order to get the odor out.
So let's switch subjects. So I noticed on Facebook that you also, when you do these houses, sometimes you find really cool things.
We do. We find a lot of cool things. So a couple of weeks ago, we were down in Bay City working on a job that a realtor had referred to us. Thank you, Ann White.
Free marketing.
Yes.
Close it, Stuart Title.
This was a class. This was a level 10 hoarder. There weren't even goat trails. You were walking over everything in the house. So the the son had hired us to clean this out after his mom passed away last year. And he was certain that there were documents in there that would be important. And we ended up finding him documents that give him rights to probably millions of dollars worth of oil here in Texas.
Wow.
There's oil interest all over Southeast Texas in these documents. So, and on top of that, we found a lot of cash and a pretty fairly large coin collection. I always love finding the coin collections. That's my thing. So
you like to walk around with silver in your
so
pocket.
I like to have some silver on me all the time. Yep, absolutely.
So so how does that work? If you clean up a house, it's empty, you find something of value, are you allowed to take it with you, or what's the process for that?
So what we do is we go in with the homeowner first, or whoever's hired us, and we ask them, is there anything in here that you want saved, or is there anything particular you're looking for? And if there's not, then basically everything at that point, if they a lot of times they just say, hey, we just want everything gone. They don't care what happens to it. They just want it gone.
They don't want to deal with it.
They don't want to deal with it. So, sometimes we find some cool things. Now, if we find something particularly valuable, then we're going to alert that the person that hired us, because it's not ours. We don't want it. So, now in a particular case, like in Bay City, we found the coin collection.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
I knew that because of everything else that we had found, that the guy that had hired us probably didn't want to mess around with dealing with all the coins, because they did all need to be sanitized because they were in a rodent-infested house for years. So I made him an offer for the coin collection, and he accepted the offer. I ended up upping my offer after doing an initial cursory look, because I did find one particular coin that I knew to be of $250 value, and so I just automatically gave him another $250 off on his bill.
Okay.
So we don't cheat anybody out of anything. So
And so you had been telling me about I think you were telling me that you had been bringing some more team members on.
Yeah, we've got a pretty healthy crew now.
How many people you got?
So I'm taking on a new partner. Her name is Heather. She's with the Houston Fire Department, has been for 30 years. Yeah, she's a captain with the Houston Fire Department. Tim is back on our crew, thankfully, done with surgeries, and he's back to work now. And then we've got Mario and a couple other gals working with us as well. So the company's growing, and this year has just been absolutely fantastic for us.
Why do you think that is?
I think just because more and more people are I think we're gaining popularity because more and more people know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say it's because of my marketing, but we both know that that'd be a lie. So, because I don't really do any marketing other than...
I was going to ask that question, but you just answered it for me.
Yeah,
So.
I don't, so my favorite form of marketing is what I would like for myself when somebody markets to me is food and booze.
Yeah, wow.
So I like to wine and dine realtors, and that's about it. That's, and you all see me on Facebook, with my wacky posts on there about the crazy stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I do for marketing, and it works for us. We've been, like I said, we've got a 20-year track record now, nearly 20-year track record of working with realtors in the Houston area, and I myself 7 years. And so you don't work in this business. This is this is one of the biggest gossipy businesses there is. Yeah. And so if you don't do good work for somebody, it's going to get around real fast.
Of course.
And even though I'm not the biggest fan of, big, huge organizations, I somehow seem to be the darling of horror when it comes to talking about stinky stuff. So,
well, I mean, you got the word out. Everybody knows who you are.
Right. So I am the stinky house guy.
Stinky house guy. So what is? And you and I have been working together for events and stuff for a few years now.
A couple of years now. Yeah. Yep.
So, you operate pretty much everywhere in Texas. When are you available? I mean, are you 9 to 5, or can agents call you?
God, I wish I could be 9 to 5 now. No, we are 24/7 availability.
24/7.
I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I'm up at 4:15 every day. I'm in the gym at 5:30, and my trainer's there, and this is my daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm pretty much ready to go by 7 a.m. every day. But sometimes, 3 nights ago, I was in bed. I was sound asleep, and at 11:45 the phone rang. Mm-hmm. And this was not what we would typically classify an emergency call. The lady's dad had died, and they discovered him, and the body had been in there for about 5 days, and so the house was fairly smelly, and they wanted to get that taken care of. And I was like, well, this isn't an emergency. Can I call you in the morning? We'd really like you to come out now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sure, absolutely, and it just turned out she lived right down the street from me, so it really wasn't a big deal.
Now, had the body already been removed?
Oh yes, yeah,
no.
So we never go in until the scene has been cleared.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what has happened, even if the coroner rules on site, okay, it was an accidental death, or B, it was natural death, whatever. Until the police clear the scene, and if it's a death, the police are going to be on scene.
Of course.
So until the police say, okay, we don't believe that there was any foul play, then nobody else goes in that house. Right. And then once they clear the scene, then we can go back in.
Yeah, because they don't want you tampering with evidence.
Yes.
Accident and things like that.
Right. So. And we have found on a couple of scenes, we've actually had to stop our cleanup twice to call the police back out to pick up evidence that we found that they had missed.
Okay. Is there, and this is probably a loaded question, but is there anything that you won't clean up?
Not yet.
Based on the things you talked about today, I would suspect no, but I had to ask.
So I will tell you, we did 2 months ago, I walked away from a job.
Really? I
did walk away from a job. There was over 100 cats in this house.
Oh my gosh!
And I had actually asked the client, the investor that bought it. I said, "Don't gut this house. I can fix this. Don't gut this house." And he's like, "No, I'm going to go ahead and gut this house." And he went ahead and gutted this house. And he was right to do so. But even then, I still couldn't fix it. This was so bad that the smell had permeated the studs.
Yeah, it had gotten in all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, in 20 years, I can say in my 7 years, this is the only thing I've ever walked away from. I just flat out told the guy, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm not charging you a dime. Mm-hmm. I spent 2 weeks working on this house.
Wow.
And it was just that bad. And I'm pretty sure it's permeated all the brick. You know, so there are apparently I do have limitations. I hate it, but
And so how do you charge by the job?
yeah, it really does go by the job. I mean, I do have a square foot price for basic things. You know, cigarette smoke is, you know, that's generally a basic price. Pet smell, general pet odor, not urine, but general, you know, oh, they had pets in here, you know, that's generally 65 cents a square foot. Smoke is generally $1 a square foot. But anything else beyond that, I really always want to see it because I want to come in and I want to give you the right price. Because I don't like going back to customers and going, hey, I need to get some more money from you because we didn't quote this right. So once I give you the price, that's the price and we're done.
Okay.
Even if I have to lose money on it, which I have twice. So
you work with real estate agents, and you've been working with them for about 7 years. So if you're a real estate agent out there and you're looking for someone like Jim to do what he does, I've known him for several years. Everybody in the industry knows him here in the Houston area. How do they get a hold of you?
the best way is to give me a call at 346-254-9217 or 713-303-9393.
And you have a website?
I do have a website, greenairtechnology.com. And then our crime scene cleanup is HoustonCleanResponse.com.
And what about, can they reach you via email?
They can reach me via email, jim@greenairtech.com. Nobody ever reaches me by email, but if you'd like to reach me by email, please feel free. I do check it daily.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about you or your services, real quick?
No, not really. You know, I'm just
Covered it all?
generally a cool guy.
With a cowboy hat?
Yeah, you know.
Real down-to-earth guy.
We do what we say, what we're going to do. We get it done. The biggest thing is we can help you get that house sold faster and for more money.
There you go, and that's the bottom line.
That really is the bottom line. So we keep a lot of houses from being sold to investors.
The investor is the one that's going to gut them and
Right.
Right. Okay, I get
Yeah.
it. So awesome. Well, thank you for coming
Thank you for having
on
me.
the podcast. So my name is Kevin Davidson. This is Kevin's Corner, real estate from a marketing perspective. If you are watching this and you're an agent or a vendor in the Houston area and you want to be on the show, give me a call, 832-654-0527, or email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com. And don't forget, I have 4 wonderful escrow officers, 1 in Richmond and 3 here in Sugar Land that can close anything you got. We'd love to work with you. Until next week, have a good week.